I'm Bob, and I like coffee. I also like to tell stories. Here at the Bobcast, it's time for a coffee break. So, take a coffee break with me and pour yourself a cup of your favorite Joe. By the time you're done with your coffee, you will know something about me you really didn't need to know. But you will have fun learning it. Just remember, my stories are true. For the most part. Today I am enjoying my coffee in a Silver Dollar City train mug. It is a black mug, a little bit larger than your standard diner mug. But guess what? It works good. Now, for today, we're looking at episode 6. This is the Boys in Scouting, part 3. And today we are talking about Bobby. The third born of our family is Bobby. And 2 years after Timmy joined the troop, Bobby joined Troop 125. Now let's paint a good picture here. Today, Bobby, like his brothers, all stand around 6 foot tall. But we're not talking about today, we're talking about an 11-year-old Bobby, who, with only the best of luck, could look up at 5 foot. In all truthfulness, Bobby was small for his age. And at his first troop meeting, it was obvious. At least he had his 2 older brothers already in the troop. It'd sort of help him out. Well, as with most scout stories, Bobby's first meeting was a planning meeting for a hike. And the hike again was up in the San Gabriel Mountains. His brothers did help him get settled into his new patrol and get a tent mate for the next weekend. And as I sat there listening to the plan for the weekend campout, I realized this would be another grueling hike. 7 miles from the Red Box Trailhead, just there at the turnoff for Mount Wilson Observatory, down to the Valley Forge Camp, and then back out using the cutoff trail to where we would have the cars waiting for us. This was a little over a 2,000-foot drop on the first day over the 7 miles. And once again, a 2,000-foot gain on the next day in about 4.5 miles. This was going to be a little bit grueling on that second day. But with luck, this campout also coexisted with another visit from Uncle Mark. Talking this campout over during the week, we decided to pack as light as possible. Mark and I would carry basic food, minimal gear, no change of clothing, no tent. We would just take a tarp and some rope. And it sounded like a fun and easy idea to get us out on the hike the second day. I mean, light backpacks make for easier uphills. Well, the next weekend came, and Bobby had already transformed from the new kid of the troop to almost like a mascot for the troop. Well, it's hard to dislike Bobby. So, out to the trail we went. Starting at the Red Box, it's around 5,000 feet, we started hiking along. Now, in the back is where the adults were, and then the scouts, always take up front. So in the back, we're looking at Uncle Mark, myself, and Scoutmaster Mark. Bobby, on the other hand, he was way out in front. For some reason, he wanted to lead the way. No matter how many times he was told he had to be up front. In the back, our conversations were going more like, "Hey, Uncle Mark, does that look like snow on the side of the trail?" "Why, yes it does, Bob." "So, Scoutmaster Mark, are we going to have bad weather?" Not that I know about, Bob." "Well, good, because we did not gear up for snow." "Well, I don't think it's going to snow, Bob." "All right, I'll believe you." Well, by the time we got down to that campsite, we had dropped well below this light smattering of snow line. And it honestly wasn't very thick, and it looked like it could have been kind of old, so we weren't going to worry about it. Now, Uncle Mark and I got to work setting up our tarp. So without a tent, we just gathered some sticks, used our rope, and built a lean-to. It's a really nice way to camp. You're semi-exposed, but you can turn your tarp to where you think the wind's going to go. That stops any of the, cooler wind from blowing. And you got your sleeping bag, and the sleeping bag should keep you warm. Well, the boys also got together. They set up their tents. They goofed off some. They made dinner, and they goofed off some. So this was basic Boy Scouting. It was a great night. The next morning, Uncle Mark woke me up and said, "Bob, my feet are freezing." "Well, Mark, so are mine." As we looked down at the lower third of our sleeping bags, we realized that it was covered in snow. And sometime during the night, it had possibly rained too, because our sleeping bags are soaking wet. Now, have I ever mentioned the fact that when I go camping, I like to keep my clothes in my sleeping bag? So when I wake up, I can get them on before I get out of the sleeping bag into what might be cooler weather. Well, if the bottom third of your sleeping bag is wet and cold, and you've got your clothes down around your feet, they too are now wet and cold. And I didn't bring a change. I was just going to hike out in the same uniform. So I now have wet, cold clothes to wear. Hey, this is no problem. Really. All right. But the boys, on the other hand, they got up. They were in their tents. They thought the snow was kind of fun. They broke camp, had a quick breakfast, threw a few snowballs, and we got ready to get back out on the trail. Now, this is where Scoutmaster Mark makes a unique proclamation. He gets all the boys together. They got their backpacks on, and he says, "Today, the scout that's going to lead us out and up to the cars is going to be Bobby." And he hands Bobby a map. I saddle up next to Scoutmaster Mark, and I say, "Excuse me? You do realize that 11-year-old Bobby has been a scout for only a week and probably doesn't even know how to read that map." Mark leans in and goes, "Hey, don't worry. I've been on this trail a whole bunch. There's no way to lose this trail. We're going to go up one canyon all the way up to the parking area. And the trail rides along halfway up the canyon wall. So even if you wanted to, you can't lose this trail." "Okay, if you say so, you're the scoutmaster. Let's do it." And I smiled and gave a big thumbs up, and off we went. Bobby in his element, leading the troop up the trail. Now, about half a mile into this trail, I'm looking at this trail and I'm realizing Scoutmaster Mark has got to be brilliant, because he's right. The trail is only a couple of maybe 2.5 feet wide. And the rock goes straight up on the right side and straight down on the left side. And you cannot lose this trail. Bobby doesn't know that. He's just out in front being a real Boy Scout. And it's pretty cool. And every now and then, as we'd go around a bend or we'd cut back on a bend, you could see Bobby out there in front. Most of the time you couldn't see him, because going along the canyon wall, you can really only see 1 or 2 boys ahead of you. But that's okay, because we've got Bobby and the senior patrol leader up front, and we've got Bob, then Uncle Mark, and then Scoutmaster Mark in the back end. So we've got it covered. We're not going to lose anybody. So we march on for maybe another mile, and all of a sudden the line of boys stop moving. And I'm kind of trying to look around the backpack in front of me, and I can't see much. And I look back at the marks, and they don't know what's going on. So I tap on the backpack that's in front of me. "Hey, pass it up. What's going on?" So, like good scout, he taps on the next backpack and says, "Pass it on. What's going on?" And on it goes. And after a couple of minutes, you can hear the voices coming back down the trail. And the boy in front of me turns his head back toward us and says, "Bobby lost the trail." I look over at Scoutmaster Mark. I look over at Uncle Mark. And I look back at this boy and I go, "What?" And he says, "Bobby lost the trail." I go, "Pass this back up. Bobby can't lose the trail. What is really going on?" And he passes that up. And after a couple of minutes, the message comes back. Bobby lost the trail. All right, I got to get up there. I got to find out what's going on. So I kind of look to the right. I can't get around because of all the rock on the right, and there is nothing to the left. It's just this drop off. And I look back at the marks. I look up ahead at the boys, and I tap on this boy's backpack again. "Hey, turn around." And he turns around, and I grab the shoulder straps to his backpack. And I look at him, I say, "Jump." And I just kind of move him as he jumps around, and I hand him to Uncle Mark behind me, who grabs his backpack straps and says, "Jump." And he hands him to Scoutmaster Mark, who then turns him around and puts him at the end of the line. And I move up to the next boy and do the same thing. And a dozen boys later, after we have moved boys through the adults, I am standing next to the senior patrol leader. And he looks at me. He's 17, plays water polo, and is 6 foot tall. And I look at him, and he looks at me and smiles, grabs my shoulder straps to my backpack and hands me around him and puts me next to Bobby. That was a bizarre experience, but I'm now there. I'm with Bobby, and I look at Bobby and I go, Bobby, what's going on? And Bobby looks at me and just points. And I turn and I look, and my goodness, Bobby has lost the trail. It looks like some giant took his hands and just scraped 20 plus yards of the trail right off the mountain. And it's gone, all laying down at the bottom of the canyon. And I looked back at the marks and I said, Bobby lost the trail. That sort of became a mantra for a while. I'm not sure that was a good thing or not, but it happened. So for the next hour, we backed up the troop, back down the trail until we found a spot that we could get down into the canyon. Then we went past this landslide that had taken out the trail and found a spot that we could scurry back up. And leading the way, the whole way, was Bobby, because it was his job to get us to those cars. We got back up on the trail, got up to the parking lot. Everybody was happy. Everybody was excited. Everybody thought Bobby had done a great job. I thought Bobby had done a great job. And I looked at Mark and said, I am still wet and cold. Let's get in the cars and head home. And that's what we did. But that is the story of how Bobby lost the trail for his first Boy Scout hike. All right, well, it's been fun. It is actually one of the more exciting stories I have of Bobby that I just love telling over and over again. Almost as good as the coyote story. Well, I hope your coffee is still warm enough to drink. And I will see you next time when we will talk about our fourth boy, Joshua.